Hey, personal life management students. Welcome to the first lesson in this new unit, Money, 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 which is all about earning and saving money. And the first lesson we're going to be doing today is about understanding your pay stub. So let's get into it. What is a pay stub? A pay stub is basically a form that shows you how much you worked, how much you were paid, and how much was deducted in a given period of time. And this is something that you'll get from your job when you get a paycheck. And this could be either paper or electronic. So let's look at an example of a typical pay stub. Here we have a pay stub from a sample company, and it says earnings statement in the top right corner. Any pay stub will say something like this. And it basically, again, is the form that's describing how much you got paid and why you got paid that amount. So here we've got our friend John Smith. You can see his name at the top. And underneath that, you can see some employee information. And basically the way this works is all of those bolded categories are describing what is underneath them. So his employee ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The period ending is saying when is the pay period ending? What is the chunk of time he is getting paid for? And this pay stub, it doesn't say it on it, but I think this is for a 2-week period. And so period ending would mean that it's the 2 weeks leading up to 2013-11-25. So that would be November 25th, 2013. Now this one actually has a little mistake on it. The pay date will be the day that you will either get a direct deposit or that you can deposit your check that you get from your company. And this pay date is actually a little bit earlier than when the period ends. So that doesn't really make sense. I think that this is a mistake on this pay stub. So it's good that we kind of caught that. And the check number, in this case, this person is actually getting issued a check, and the number is 321654. For our purposes, we're actually going to be focusing on this section right here. So let's take a closer look at that, and it's describing, again, how much exactly John got paid and why. So this line, highlighted in yellow, is showing us each of the categories that describe John's pay. So income is describing the income type that John got paid. And again, everything is just like above. These bolded areas are describing what's below them. So the income type, we can see there's regular and overtime pay, right? People get paid a little more when they work overtime. So that's something good for us to know and to keep track of. Make sure we're getting paid the right amount. In this case, make sure John's getting paid the right amount. The rate is telling us underneath, what are the two rates of pay that John gets paid for regular and overtime pay? So he can get $20 an hour or $25 an hour. The hours worked are, again, just hours is describing how many hours did John work in this pay period, in this 2-week chunk. So it looks like here, John worked 80 hours and 5 overtime hours. And the total is going to tell us how much did John actually get? How much did he earn in this pay period? So in order to figure out exactly what we want to know here, or in order to find a specific thing that we want to know, what we do is, let's say we want to know about regular hours, his regular hours worked, not his overtime. So we're going to look on the left at his regular hours, and this entire, what we call a column, a row in a table, is going to be the entire way going across from his regular hours. So it's this whole area highlighted in yellow. So if we want to know about the rate that John was paid for his regular hours, all we have to do is look at the regular hours row and the rate column, and we see where the blue and the yellow meet. So we can see there that John got, for his regular hours, he got a rate of $20 an hour. Similarly, let's say we wanted to know about the number of hours that John actually worked, the regular hours he worked. Well, we would look at the regular row, and then we would look at the hours column. And again, it's just a question of lining up those two things and seeing where they meet. So here we can see he worked 80 regular hours. And below that, if we were curious about overtime, well, he worked 5 overtime hours. And now for the big question, the current total. So when we say current total, what we're talking about is how much is he actually getting on this for this pay period? What's the total number of dollars that he's going to get? So here we can see that for his regular hours, he's getting $1,600, $1,600. And that's just really simply multiplying the $20 he gets per hour times 80 hours, gives us $1,600. But in this case, if we want to know what the total is for this pay period, we also need to look at overtime, because that goes into what he's getting paid as well. So here we can see he worked 5 hours at $25 an hour for overtime, so he gets another $125 added for overtime. And if we add those two numbers up, 1,600 and 125, we get 1,725. So let's see if we can find that on this pay stub. So if you look down, it's located right there at the end of the arrow. So current total, 1,725. Now, in a perfect world, he might actually get a paycheck for $1,725, so $1,725. But this isn't the end of the day here. What he's actually going to get to take home is what is called net pay. And he's going to get $1,294.66. So that's a lot less than $1,725, right? He's losing a little over $400 there. So net pay is what you actually take home at the end of the day, the check that will be written or what you get as a direct deposit into your bank account. So the big question is, where did all my money go? You know, this has happened to all of us if we've worked a job. We work a certain number of hours, and then at the end of the day, we're curious, wait, why did I get paid kind of less than I maybe thought I would based on the hours I worked? And this is going to be the sort of topic of discussion for the next lesson. And it's going to be about something called deductions, which you can see on here. So don't worry about that yet. We're going to cover that next lesson. And for now, what I want you to focus on is these areas that we looked at in today's lesson. And what you're going to do is you're going to finish the form online for Juan Carlos. This is his pay stub. And there's just a couple questions on that form online asking you to do what we just did by looking at this pay stub.